technical issues. Technology today is fantastic. Thanks, everyone, for being patient with us. We're back to try again with Dan Beasley from the Homeschool Legal Defense Association. Dan, thanks so much for being here with us and being patient with us through all the technology. I think technology is great, but we're still learning. So Dan, take it away. Tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do, and then some of the important aspects of HSLDA.
Great. Thank you. And it's great when it works, right? So hopefully it works for the rest of the show here. But yes, I'm Dan Beasley, staff attorney with Homeschool Legal Defense Association, also known as HSLDA. And HSLDA has been around for 35 years. I've been here as a staff attorney for about 3 years and about 7 years in total with the organization. HSLDA exists to make homeschooling possible. And we do that in several different ways. We do that by providing legal advice and representation. Really, we empower parents, you, to make the best decisions for your children, to choose the best educational option that's available. And we think a lot of times that's homeschooling. And we're here to support you in that. A little bit of history about HSLDA. The organization was founded in 1983. And it was founded to meet two important needs that the homeschool community had. One was a need actually for legal representation in court, because at that time, it was only explicitly legal to homeschool in about 5 states. Parents were being criminally prosecuted for teaching their children at home. And so the founders of HSLDA, Mike Ferris and Mike Smith, started the organization to meet two needs. One, need for competent legal representation, and two, at an affordable cost. Those two things typically do not go hand in hand. And so they came up with the idea to have a membership-based organization where homeschooling families would join. They would pay a membership fee, and then they would be HSLDA would provide representation pro bono or for free for the families who actually needed it. And it's worked very well over the years. In the mid to late 80s, HSLDA was representing many more families in court. We were also representing homeschooling in the legislature, advocating for homeschooling, working with a lot of state and local organizations as well to accomplish this. And today, fast forward 35 years, homeschooling is legal in all 50 states. It's growing. It's a popular option. About 3.5% of the student population is homeschooled, over 2 million students, as you may know. So we're here to make homeschooling possible and really support you as the parent and empower you with the knowledge to know what's legally required to homeschool in your state, to assist you if you face a legal challenge. Your graduate may face discrimination. I assisted a homeschool graduate, Ethan, down in Alabama, who was fired from his job. He lost his job because a background check company had determined that homeschooling was not a legitimate form of education in Alabama. They were wrong, but the employer got that report and was relying on it. We were able to get involved and get him his job back in just less than a month. But that's just an example of something that still comes up today, even though it's legal to homeschool.
That's crazy. I'm going to jump right into a question from our audience. One of them, Jennifer Martinez, just asked, when did it become legal in all 50 states to homeschool?
That's a great question. So it was really through the 80s, and in the early 90s, it was just a state-by-state progression where most of the time states, we say legalized homeschooling, but they either through a court case or a legislative change, the state recognized it essentially as being legal. I guess I don't know off the top of my head the exact date where it was legal in all 50 states, but it would have been around 1990. So probably maybe even a little bit early, a couple of years earlier than that. But through the late 80s is really where it was being recognized in most states. A lot of state laws were passed like in the late 1988, 1999, or 89.
Wow, that's still pretty recent, and I did not realize that. She also asked, Jennifer asked, are there still states that are trying to restrict or hinder homeschooling laws in that state?
Yeah, so there still are critics of homeschooling. There are those who believe that more regulation should be required. There are those who are just ideologically opposed to homeschooling for different reasons. And so one of the things that we do at HSLDA is we monitor legislation in all 50 states. We track that, and we'll notify homeschoolers who are members or who are signed up for our emails about legislation that may affect their right to homeschool. And so we're actively watching it. It certainly is happening in terms of attacks on homeschooling, but we're still here, we're here to defend homeschooling and to continue to advocate for it. And I will say the trend over the last 25 to 30 years even has been an advancement of homeschooling freedom and deregulation of homeschooling.
Yeah. Do you think that the same states that are maybe anti other choices or are trying to stop legislation on other choices are the same states that are giving you flack for homeschool laws? Do you think that's the case?
Sometimes
in many of those states.
Yeah, sometimes sometimes the sort of the environment is a little more hostile towards homeschooling. Some states just sort of welcome it. A lot of that has to do with sort of the demographic or the just sort of the background information on the state or positions of the citizens of the state. But it really does vary. I mean, New York and Pennsylvania are states with the most, and Massachusetts are states with the most regulation on homeschooling. And so you're going to have the greatest number, the highest number of sort of legal requirements or red tape to deal with in those states. But the climate in other states can change, even depending on the year, depending on events in that state. Sometimes something will happen and it will sort of spark discussion about homeschooling, and so it varies.
Do you know off the top of your head some of the states that which states the regulations aren't as heavy or as strict in for homeschool students and homeschool families?
Yeah, so we actually have a map on our website. You can go to hslda.org and click on our state laws map, and we have a color-coded map that kind of shows the states that have more restrictive regulation on homeschooling or less regulation, and which provides generally more flexibility and freedom for parents. A few of generally the kind of the Midwest to Western states, generally speaking, have laws that are a little bit more that respect parental rights a little bit more. Alaska is a state that has a stat. Oklahoma is another one where these states give very broad freedom to parents, and they essentially, the legislature has trusted parents. They say, look, parents, generally speaking, we believe are going to make decisions that are in the best interest of their children. If there's a problem, obviously there are mechanisms in every state to follow up on that. But the general rule is essentially we trust parents.
That's fantastic. One of our viewers asked if you yourself were homeschooled. Mitchell, I think, asked that. Yeah, Mitchell Baker asked if you were homeschooled yourself.
Great question. Yes, I was. I was homeschooled in the state of Nebraska, where I grew up. My parents were actually members of Homeschool Legal Defense Association while I was being homeschooled, actually kindergarten through 12th grade, all the way through. So I attended a local community college there, and then I got some experience working out here at HSLDA as a legal assistant while I was in law school. Also, my wife Bethany and I are homeschooling our children. We have 3 children. Our oldest is 6, and so we're about to start our second year homeschooling. And my wife's a homeschool graduate as well, so we feel like we've taken the baton and are moving forward with it.
Yes. So as parents, what are some resources that y'all have found helpful navigating the homeschool system in the state where you live, but then also just homeschooling in general? I know you're in your second year. So talk a little bit about that. That's exciting.
Sure. Yeah, it is exciting. It's definitely, I've kind of been in the homeschool space for a long time now, but it's a little different when it's your own child and you're doing it for yourself. And it is exciting. This year, we're actually going to need to comply with the legal requirements for homeschooling for the first time. And I found myself going to our website, and we live in West Virginia now, and, finding the forms, finding the process for homeschooling. So that's one of the resources that we have that's really helpful. No matter your state, you can go and see kind of a step-by-step legal guidance on how to homeschool. We have forms available for that purpose. And then if you have any specific questions, everybody's case is a little bit different, and you can always call and we can walk you right through the process. Another thing that's very helpful is, so my wife and I went to one of these homeschool conventions, and it was a very big convention. There were lots of curriculum resources. We're trying to figure out what are we going to use to teach our children. And I thought we'd go there and pick out a great curriculum. Well, we got there and I realized that there were so many different curriculum choices that there was no way we were going to make a decision that day, and we wanted to step back and do some more research. And one of the services that HSLDA offers that I've utilized is consultants. We have education consultants who can talk with parents about the different curriculum choices that are available, and they can help identify the learning styles, help parents identify the learning styles of their children, and then select the curriculum that works best for that family. It's an invaluable resource even for people, again, who've been in the homeschool space for a long time or are familiar with homeschooling. Those consultants, we get a lot of great reviews about how helpful they are.
Well, that's a great segue into another question from Jennifer. She asks if what other services does HSLDA offer to either their members or non-members? And then I want to follow up after you're done with what membership is and how people can get involved in that.
So we kind of covered the legal services, right? If you've got a question, you give us a call. If someone contacts you, if you get a letter from a school district, you send us a letter, and we assist you with that. Beyond the legal side, though, the consultants are another big service that we offer. So both educational consultants they're sort of categorized or arranged. Our consultants have special areas based on the age of the child. And then, so K through 12th grade, though, there's a consultant that can help talk with you about curriculum, about learning styles, what your child needs to know when. And then especially when the students get into high school, they can help with transcripts, record keeping, preparing for college admission, what tests should the child be taking, if any. They can help answer a lot of those practical questions as well. And then our special needs consultants can help identify learning disabilities and then equip you as a parent to know how to meet those unique needs that the child may have, whether it's reaching out for other resources, having an evaluation, or maybe it's just a child every child is unique, right? And has a kind of a unique need, and they can help equip you as the parent to meet that need. So the consultants are another big service. We have a lot of smaller services. Well, we have an online academy now that's really targets high school students, where you can take courses in government, or actually they're really they're broad. I wish I knew all the areas, but I mean English, foreign language, even math. Many courses available through our online academy. We have high school diplomas that you can purchase and issue to your student yourself. And so there's a lot of support. And then there's a perks discount program, even where if you're going to travel, you get a discount on a Choice International hotels, so the Comfort Inn, Comfort Suites. We actually beat AAA's discount there. So.
Oh, wow. That's fantastic. That's so exciting. I had no idea. So how much does it cost to become a member? And would you recommend parents who don't, I'm going to mesh a couple of Jennifer's questions together. So how much does it cost to get support from HSLDA? And would you recommend that parents who don't need any legal help become members of HSLDA?
Sure. So how much does it cost? We have a few different options for you. You can pay $11 per month and do a monthly membership, or we have a $130 annual membership. And then there are some discounts that you can receive off that as well. If you're a member of a group that is a discount group with HSLDA, like a support group, some curriculum providers have discount codes. You can get $20 off of that. So it'd be $15 off. I believe it's $115 for an annual membership. Again, or you can pay monthly for $11. As far as whether, a big question that people will ask us sometimes is, do I really need this? Because I don't, homeschooling is pretty free in my state. I don't really feel like I need a lawyer. And there's two responses. One is sometimes you need one when you don't know that you do. And it's much easier for us to resolve a lot of the legal situations that do come up if we're able to get involved early. So here's an example. A member family just last week contacted me because their school district was threatening them with truancy. And it was really over kind of a paperwork mix-up, what would seem just like a paperwork mix-up. And so we were able to get involved and correspond with the school district and get that resolved. But I've seen many situations that start out very similar to that. And then one thing leads to another, and truancy charges end up being filed. And it's more difficult to resolve those if we get involved later. I'm not trying to scare anyone, but I mean, it's the reality that it can happen. The other thing is it does happen to some families. Some families, some graduates, even though you do everything right, have legal issues that come up, like Ethan in Alabama. He did everything right. There was an error that a background check company made, and it cost him his job. And so when you join HSLDA, you're supporting the families that do need the help. So we're standing together as a community of homeschoolers to advocate for homeschooling and to assist the families that really do need it, even if you don't. And the other thing I would say to add to that is, beyond the legal services, almost anyone I think can take advantage of talking with our consultants, getting some more information, getting some tips, and just becoming a little bit better equipped to educate your children at home. I mean, we're here to support you as you choose, the best option for educating children.
Those are some great resources for parents. Another question Mitchell had was, how can parents get connected to HSLDA consultants?
Sure. So you can do it two ways. Give us a call. The phone number would be 540-338-5600. You can find that online, of course, as well. Or you can shoot us an email. And we always have a live receptionist answering the phone. So anytime you call HSLDA, you'll get a live voice, and you would just explain that you want to speak with one of our consultants, and they would set you up. Sometimes there can be a short delay before you can get an individual consulting time, just based on the needs of our other member families. But it's pretty simple to get in contact with them. Just give us a call or shoot us an email.
Oh, awesome. That would be fantastic. Another question Mitchell had was, how many homeschool students do y'all represent across HSLDA and really across the nation?
Sure. So HSLDA we base our membership by family. So that is also important to know. You don't need to join or have a separate membership for each child. You join as a family, and everyone in the family is eligible for our membership services. And so we have over 83,000 member families that are part of HSLDA. As far as how many students that represents, I don't know exactly. You can kind of estimate based on the average number of children per family, but it's based on family, and there are just over 83,000 member families.
Is the consulting cost different? Jennifer asked this question. I think it's a great question. Is the consulting cost different than the membership fee for HSLDA, or is that all included in one lump sum?
It's all in one lump sum. So you just pay a membership fee, and then you're entitled to all our services.
Oh, that's awesome. And so also, I want to go back to the online classes that y'all provide. If I were a parent and I purchased a membership for HSLDA, would that online curriculum be included, or is that a completely separate
That's a great question. Right after I said all of our services are included. Now, the classes themselves, there is an additional fee, but there is a steep discount on those courses for member families. In fact, usually it makes sense to you almost get your money back paying for the membership because of the discount that you get on the course. But the course is something separate that's provided by our academy. But our membership services that we provide, the legal, the consulting, the discounts, our emails, our magazine. I mean, everything that we provide here, is included in the membership.
Oh, fantastic. So talk about some of the different maybe legal laws around homeschooling. Are there certain do y'all count as an umbrella program? Are there states where you need to be in an umbrella program? I know that there's a bunch of, every state is different as far as the laws go. But is there a general, do you need to be in an umbrella program, or does that vary from state to state?
Sure. Well, some folks do ask, is joining HSLDA a way to comply with their state's homeschool laws? And unfortunately, it's not. Complying with your state's laws, of course, depends on the state. For example, in Tennessee, you have a couple different options. You can start your own, what's called an independent homeschool, and you file paperwork forms with the school district on an annual basis. And then there are some other record keeping requirements and some testing requirements associated with that. Or as an alternative option, you can enroll in what a lot of folks would call an umbrella, or you essentially enroll in a church-related school. Your student doesn't go to that school. You educate them at home, but your homeschool is associated with basically another school. And so you notify them, they're considered enrolled in that school. And so it does serve as somewhat of a legal umbrella for purposes of complying with the state's law. HSLDA, enrollment with HSLDA doesn't do that. And depending on your state, it varies. That's why I really encourage you to, depending on your state, give us a call or look at our summary. And if you have any questions at all, let us know so that we can make sure that you're in compliance with the law. And I just think that gives an additional peace of mind and confidence as you move forward, if you know that what you're doing is legal, and if something were to come up, you've got attorneys who will have your back.
Yeah, I think that's a great and great resource to have. Do you at HSLDA provide parents with maybe some of the record keeping resources that they need, or point them towards a good tool for that? Because I know that can be challenging to have to keep up with attendance or really grades, anything like that. Do y'all have any resources for that, or good tools that you're finding as a parent?
So we have some resources and tools. We don't actually provide record keeping at this point for parents, but we can. The first step is making sure you know what records you need to keep, and some of that's based on the law. Different states will have a law that you need to keep, that says you need to keep certain records. You want to make sure that you're keeping those. But our consultants also can help give you just sort of tips on different ways to keep those records. So if it's an attendance register, sometimes we might have a sample form or a resource to point you to, or just kind of a summary of what that should look like. And then in the high school, we do have a transcript service. One of the things that our consultants will offer, and this is just included in the membership, is consulting on transcripts, preparing that, making sure it looks good, reviewing it. If you would like, there's a separate service for actually making the transcript, so that you don't have to make it. You just provide the information essentially, and then it'll generate the transcript for you.
That is super cool. That it has to be so helpful and make it so easy. I feel like making a transcript sounds super hard, and that would be fantastic to know that I could just give you what you need and then generate it. Where could we find the transcript generator? Do y'all provide that to the parents, or is that online somewhere?
Yeah, it's online. You'd find it on our website through our consultants. They have a page on our website, and it's on that page. I don't necessarily, I could send you a link to it, I guess, but it's on a website on our consultants page there. I mean, the transcript is an important tool, because homeschooling, of course, is recognized, and homeschool graduates get a diploma. They can receive a diploma from their parents, but oftentimes colleges or employers or others will look at that diploma and go, this actually came from the parent. Is this right? Can this be legal? Is this real? And there's all sorts of questions that sort of surround a diploma. Well, a transcript backs up the diploma and shows what courses the student actually took. And so it's always, a transcript, of course, is always important, but it really has increased importance for homeschool graduates, just because of it's basically because of the fact that the employer or college admissions person doesn't necessarily know what curriculum you use. Whereas if he has a diploma from a graduate from a public school, he knows. I mean, the state has a curriculum that students basically have to follow. And so the transcript is very important, and how it looks, believe it or not, actually is pretty important as well. If you have a professional looking transcript that goes with that diploma, it probably shouldn't be this way, but a lot of times it can smooth the process. And so we're here to help support you in doing that. And of course, if your transcript is challenged, your diploma is challenged, something that we do regularly is advocate on behalf of those graduates who face sort of those legal hurdles.
Wow. So that's a common occurrence, is for y'all to go to battle for someone who's questioning a homeschool student's transcript?
Yes. Yep. And one of the things that we're working on as well is essentially advocating for legislative change. There are about 12 states that have legal protection for homeschool graduates that says essentially you can't discriminate against a student who graduated from a homeschool program just because they got their education at home. Of course, if they don't meet a minimum qualification, or if they're not the best candidate for the job, I mean, nobody's arguing that you have to give them some sort of special preferential treatment. But what we do suggest is that, and what we do want to see in state laws, is that there's a level playing field. If you receive your education at home, you ought to be treated and considered in the same way as a student who graduated from a public school. Again, subject to, that's again why the transcript is important, because it shows the courses that you took. And then, of course, you would include ACT or SAT scores or things like that, and create kind of and so, yes, we help graduates who run into difficulty or employers, or there used to be a lot of college admission issues. They seem to be less frequent, but they're still out there today. And so we're always working to advance homeschooling and fight for fight against homeschool discrimination. Our goal is really for that homeschool diploma to be seen just like a public school diploma.
That's fantastic, and probably have your hands full because there's so many different states and so many different laws and legislation around homeschooling. How many, Jennifer asked, how many lawyers do y'all have on staff at HSLDA? Because that's a lot to have to take on.
Yeah, we have 9. We have 9 lawyers here, and we sort of have different areas. I'm one of the contact attorneys, so as I think I mentioned earlier, maybe it was the first time though, I'm responsible for homeschooling legal issues that come up in Tennessee as well as 13 other states. And then there are 4 other lawyers that do basically what I do, and then 3 lawyers who are focused more on the litigation. So we usually have a docket of about 15 to 20 cases that are actually in court, moving through court. And so we one of the cases that we're working on right now is a lawsuit against New York City because of the way that they've been treating homeschooling families. I don't want to take a ton of time on it, but I can kind of give you the nuts and bolts, and that's that the way the central office of homeschooling there works, they really aren't following the regulations that are already on the books. And because of that, homeschool families have been reported to Child Protective Services, again, just over paperwork issues, and it really comes back to the fact that the central office isn't processing paperwork in a timely manner. And so then families end up having to work with social workers, and some end up going into court. And again, they're doing everything right, and they're having major problems. And so we're suing the city to essentially try to correct that problem. Just an example of one of the cases where we're going on the offensive to try to advance homeschooling. We're the Legal Defense Association, and that's what we initially started out playing a lot on defense, but occasionally we go on the offense as well.
Wow. I did not even know that was going on in New York. Do you have other cases like that in other states as well, or is that the main one going on right now?
No, we do have a few other states where we actually have filed lawsuits. Kentucky is one, but there's a few. But again, about 15 to 20 total. Another area where we handle a fair number of cases is in the context of Social Security Administration benefits, documenting that a student is a legitimate student, is an eligible student who's eligible for benefits, even though they're being homeschooled. There's lots of different areas where homeschooling can be an issue. And even though it's legal, it's recognized. For some families who experience legal difficulty, having a lawyer there who really knows homeschool law and knows the nuances of it is invaluable. So we're glad to be able to provide that service.
That is fantastic. Where are your home offices located, and do you have volunteers? Jennifer wants to know where you're located, or the home office is located.
Our national office is in Purcellville, Virginia, about an hour northwest of Washington, D.C. We do have a small office in Washington, D.C. as well. We do some lobbying there on Capitol Hill, and so we have a little office there. But most of our staff are here in Purcellville, Virginia. That's where I'm at. We do have volunteers across states. We work a lot with state and local organizations. We help assist support group administrators and leaders, and then statewide organizations as well, because it's helpful to have sort of boots on the ground in the state who understand the local flavor, and then we sort of bring the national perspective and the legal expertise on homeschooling, so it makes a great team.
That's awesome. Well, thanks so much for coming here today and hanging in there with us through all the technical difficulties that we're having. But we appreciate you and the work that you're doing with HSLDA, and we would love to be able to share some more contact to be able to get with Jennifer, great point. This has been great information, and we're so thankful that you came to shed some light on some of the different legal issues, or even ways to stay on track as a homeschooling parent. We'd love to share some contact information for either you or HSLDA with our parents, just so that they can get in contact with consultants and get that process started, because we think y'all are a great resource. Thanks again, Dan, for coming, and thanks everyone for tuning in. Thanks a lot.
Thank you all for hanging in there as well. It's great to be with you.